They say forgiveness sets you free, but for this family, it became an inescapable prison. Witness the raw, unvarnished truth of what happens when past transgressions refuse to stay buried. And the act of letting go unravels the very fabric of their lives. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about reconciliation. We're all taught that forgiveness is a virtue, the ultimate path to healing. It's what good people do, but what if that's only half the story? What if the real cost of forgiving someone you love is more devastating than the pain it is supposed to soothe? Today, we're diving deep into a raw, unfiltered family drama where the price of reconciliation was something no one, absolutely no one, ever anticipated. This is a story about the forgiveness paradox. We celebrate it as a beautiful act of liberation. But for some, it's a hidden burden, a silent weight they carry long after everyone else has moved on. We'll follow a family's journey as they discover this firsthand, confronting the unseen costs that lurk just beneath the surface of a seemingly happy ending. It all started, as these things often do, with a gathering, a family reunion meant to celebrate a milestone. But instead of cake and champagne, an old, forgotten letter was unearthed from a dusty box in the attic. This letter wasn't just a piece of paper, it was a catalyst. It held a secret, a transgression so deep it had been deliberately buried for decades. Suddenly, the carefully constructed piece of the family began to crack. Some members immediately went into denial, insisting they shouldn't dredge up the past. But the truth was out, and it was far uglier than anyone had ever admitted. The stage was set, not for celebration, but for a long overdue confrontation. The pressure to move on became immense. But how do you move on when the act of forgiving feels like a betrayal of yourself? The person who chose to forgive carried the heaviest burden. On the surface, they smiled and said the right words, but underneath, a quiet resentment began to fester. They were exhausted from the emotional labor of holding the family together, of pretending everything was okay. Society tells us to forgive, religion tells us to forgive,